What is going on, guys? It's ThePowerBauer 2 here. With the new Smash Bros. Game coming out in just over 2 months from now, I am in full hype mode and I am so excited for this game. I mean, I have made several videos on this topic, so I think it's kind of obvious. But anyways, the Smash Bros. Franchise has given me hours and hours of entertainment over the years, and I feel like everybody has had some sort of positive experience with these games. Recently, I pit Melee and Brawl against each other, so it's only fair to look at the game that started it all with Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. Super Smash Bros. Was released in 1999 for the Nintendo 64. Masahiro Sakurai originally had the idea to create a fighting game known as Dragon King: The Fighting Game. There are a few screenshots of early development for the game, but not much more. He eventually decided that the game would be better marketed if it featured famous Nintendo characters. And although Miyamoto was skeptical at first, he agreed and we received one of the greatest franchises of all time. The intro starts off with some weird floating hand-playing dolls that come to life and start beating the shit out of each other. Yep, we go from Nintendo character to show off every fighter in the game, and they really do all deserve a place in the game. Mario is the face of Nintendo, Link is from Nintendo's greatest franchise, Samus is a badass, Donkey Kong is just classic, Pikachu was the face of one of the newest Nintendo franchises at the time, Star Fox is just dope, Yoshi is a top 2 greatest Nintendo character ever, and Kirby is just f***ing adorable. However, the 4 unlockable characters tell a different story. I mean, Luigi makes sense as he's a classic character and he's Mario's brother. Jigglypuff, sure, she was a fairly iconic Pokemon from the anime, but was she really qualified to represent Pokemon over others like Charizard and Mewtwo? And then we had the last two, Ness and Captain Falcon. I'll be honest, when I first saw these two, I had no f***ing idea who they were. I had never played F-Zero nor Earthbound or any of the Mother series, so I just assumed they were added for more fighters in the game. But I am so glad they were added, as I probably would have never been exposed to their franchises without Smash Bros. After the intro, we get our first taste of the Super Smash Bros. Announcer. It's good, but not as good as... But it's still awesome. The menu for this game is exactly what it needs to be. A simple screen to take you from game mode to game mode, and not this bullshit. Sometimes the simplest approach is the best. The obvious main appeal to the game is the versus mode, where up to 4 players can battle in either a time or a stock match. There's no coin battle or any other of the dumb modes they added later. I mean, who actually plays those modes anyway? You can either do a free-for-all or a team battle, where you can destroy your opponents with a friend. There is a plethora of different items that you can use in battles, and although some are completely useless, most are just fun to use and they can change the battle tremendously. There are 8 stages, each based off one of the starting 8 fighters, which makes perfect sense. But then they give the Mario franchise another stage. How is that fair? Were Ness and Captain Falcon not worthy of earning a stage? Actually, at the time, they probably weren't, but whatever! Some of my personal favorite stages include Sector Z, Dreamland, and Hyrule Castle. Every Kirby stage just seems to be amazing, so it makes sense that Dreamland is no different. And to me, Corneria and Temple were the 2 best stages in Melee, and their N64 counterparts are no different. They obviously aren't the same stages, which is good. You don't want to play the same thing over and over, but they still give off the same vibe, and they are just so much fun. However, just as there are some good stages, there are some that are not so good. Mushroom Kingdom is one of those stages. I like the premise. Basing a stage off the original Super Mario Bros. Is a great idea, as it's one of the most iconic games of all time. But it didn't really work here. The 2 platforms that fall in the middle can be so annoying, and the power block is really just unnecessary. And I'm sorry to say it, the other Mario stage, Peach's Castle, is maybe worse. You're up high in the sky above Peach's Castle from Super Mario 64. Again, a great game to base a stage off of. The problem is that there are 2 oddly shaped objects at the upper corner of the screen that can screw you in so many ways. They can stop you from killing your opponent if they hit them, but they can also kill you easily if you bounce off them the right way. Plus, the moving platform in the center cannot be grabbed. You'll get hit off the stage, barely not die, try to make your way back to the stage, and then just fall right through the platform because you didn't grab the ledge. It's so annoying. Every character has their own unique moveset based around their own games. For example, Mario is one of the most balanced characters. He's got a ton of different jumps and punches which all fit him, as his last appearance was Mario 64, where most of his arsenal was just jumps, punches, and kicks. But he can also shoot fireballs, as if he has his famous Fire Flower power-up. Luigi is basically just a clone of Mario, but with a few changes. Luckily, there aren't too many clones in this game because there's only 12 characters, unlike nowadays, but they still added 2 clones to this game, one of which is obviously Luigi. The other one doesn't make much sense. How is Jigglypuff a clone of Kirby? I guess they are both pink puffballs, although Kirby is way more adorable, but that's about it. Jigglypuff has like 2 moves from the games that are in her moveset. She can use Pound and Sing, but besides that, I don't get it. Why does she float like Kirby? And why does she use Rollout even though she doesn't learn that move in Gen 1? I have many questions. At least they didn't give Jigglypuff the copy ability like Kirby, because I don't know if I could comprehend Jigglypuff using a gun like Fox. Although, to be fair, at least she has some moves based off her game, unlike Captain Falcon. He had never once left his car or vehicle or whatever it is before this game, so his moveset is completely unique. In fact, his moves and character model kind of resemble the early screenshots from Dragon King the fighting game. It's only speculation, but it could be that Sakurai added them because they already had the animations programmed, but nobody knows for sure. However, I am glad Sakurai added Captain Falcon because he gave us one of the most iconic moves in all of Smash Bros. And then there's Ness, who takes like half of his moves from other characters in his games. In his games, he doesn't know PK Fire, or PK Thunder, or PK Magnet, or PK Flash. Does he have any of his own moves? Link uses many items from Ocarina of Time. He's got his Boomerang, Hookshot, and of course his famous Master Sword and Hylian Shield. Although for some reason they made his spin attack his recovery. I know they had to make one for him, but I probably would have just used a Hookshot for that. Although looking back at it, it does look dope, so it was probably the right choice. Samus and Pikachu are basically perfectly taken from their games. All of their moves make sense as they are based on either items or moves they get in their respective games, so I have no criticism for them. Donkey Kong just punches things. What else would you expect from a giant super buff ape? And then we have Yoshi, the greatest Nintendo character ever. His moves aren't bad, but he never really uses them in his actual games. Actually, wait, is Yoshi a guy or a girl? I've always kind of wondered that, and people were hating on me for calling Birdo a girl, but it doesn't matter though, because Yoshi's a badass even if I suck at using him, or her. These characters are great and all, but they all pale in comparison to the competitive beast, Fox. No items, Fox only, Final Destination. Oh wait, there's no Final Destination in this game. Fuck! The controls of this game are obviously much more simplified than the later games. Of course, you move with the control stick, who would have guessed that? All special attacks are performed with B and then a direction, while smash attacks are done with A and a direction. These are all carried over to later games, but this is the only game to not support the GameCube controller. Oh god, this game can't be competitively viable. This sucks. Calm down, you Melee player. It's not the end of the world. Really, the only thing you can't use is the C-stick, which I think is a good thing. So many people in Melee just spam the C-stick over and over again, and it's so nice to not have to deal with that in this game, because that is one of the most annoying parts of Melee. Speaking of Melee, a lot of the more competitive moves and tricks aren't possible in this game. I'm talking wave dashing, L canceling, and things like that. I'm in no way a competitive player, so I personally am okay with this. Another difference is the balance between characters. Fox is by far one of, if not the most overpowered fighter in any Smash Bros. Game in Melee. Well, besides Meta Knight and Brawl. The only character that even comes close to that level in Smash 64 would have to be Pikachu. He can absolutely destroy opponents by stunning them into combos, but it's not even close to Fox in Melee. The competitive balance is better in this game in my opinion, and since we're comparing to the other games, this game does not have the random tripping of Brawl, which I love. That is so annoying, and it's the reason that nobody likes that game. Although, I personally like it a lot. Even though the main appeal to this game is the versus mode where you can beat the out of your friends, Smash Bros. Also has a one-player mode for those of us who have no friends. Hello, darkness, my old friend. You play through 11 stages, each with a different opponent to battle to advance to the next stage. However, unlike later games, each stage is always the same no matter how many times you play it or what character you play as. You will always face a giant Donkey Kong on stage 6, Metal Mario on stage 9, and a Polygon team on stage 10, and so on and so on. This may seem repetitive to play over and over, but honestly, it's still tons of fun. After every third stage, you'll be thrown into a bonus stage. These can be a break the targets test, not as good as Melee, but it's better than Brawl, a board the platforms test, okay, and a race to the finish. In my opinion, they should have made an entire mode around race to the finish either in this game or in Melee. Imagine having courses each made specifically for each character that you need to complete in a certain time limit. That would have been great. The final stage is against Master Hand. You know that hand you saw putting out the dolls in the intro? Yeah, he's the final boss. And oh look! Final Destination is in the game. Master Hand has a kind of weird and unique moveset. All of his moves are based around things that you can do with your hand. Shocker! He can slap you, punch you, do a weird plane-like attack, and the scariest of all, he can poke you to death! Unlike every other fighter in the game, you don't defeat Master Hand by knocking him off the stage, but instead you need to drop his HP to 0. He starts with 300, so be ready for a fight. When I was younger, I always wondered what the hell Master Hand really was. Now, I don't know if this is true, but I kinda just assume he's supposed to be the representation of the kid playing with dolls in the room, and this whole game is kinda just their imagination. I think that made perfect sense. Well, until Melee, where they became trophies instead of dolls. Thanks for making this more confusing! This game may not have the competitive scene like Melee gameplay, the story of Brawl, or the fan service of Smash 4, but that doesn't mean it's a bad game. For a fighting game made in the late 90s, this is the perfect one. Nintendo had never really had any crossovers between franchises, I mean besides little Easter eggs, but Smash Bros. Completely changed that. Representing 10 different Nintendo franchises, including the lesser-known Mother franchise with NES, was amazing, and this may have been the creation of Nintendo's greatest franchise. Although that's kind of weird to say, as Smash is basically just a collection of all of Nintendo's best franchises, but that's what makes it amazing. In what other game can you beat the out of a little boy using a humanoid fox? Well, besides the 4 sequels. The answer is none! Smash Bros. Is the only way to experience something like this. It's one of the ultimate friendship killers, right up there with Mario Kart and Mario Party. Why do Mario games seem to make you hate your friends, actually? Smash Bros. Has evolved over the years with better gameplay, graphics, game modes, and lots of new characters, which makes the original seem obsolete. But that is far from the truth. This game is loads of fun. I can pick this up any day of the week and have a blast, because you never will have the same experience. Is it the best game in the franchise? Hell no! But it's still one of the greatest fighting games of all time and deserves tons of respect for starting the Smash Bros. Franchise. Without this game, we wouldn't be able to pit Isabelle and King K. Rool in Smash Bros. Ultimate in just a few months. And do you want to live in a world where we can't do that? I know I don't. I mean, what fighting game would we even play in that universe? Street Fighter? Tekken? Mortal Kombat? I'm sorry, but you're gonna need to give me something better than that. Sold!